fine. Right there in front of the lectern.
Watch your step. I'm going to have you step back.
If you please can identify yourself for the record.
Yes, my name is Ruth Mark. Sorry?
I'm worried you're going to trip. Just,
Okay,
that's fine.
I already did fall. My name is Ruth Markels.
You may give your impact statement, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge Everett. To the Honorable Judge Everett, my name is Ruth Markels. I am the mother of the late Dan Markels. I stand before you today to express the profound sadness and grief that Dan's family and I have endured since his tragic murder. We have lost a treasure. My son Dan's life was cut tragically short at 41 years old. For 11 years, we have been forced to a life filled with unimaginable pain and heartbreak. Dan's father, Phil, and his sister, Shelley, share in this unending sorrow. Dan was a devoted father, brother, and son. Dan's life was marked by his devotion to family, education, and community. He was a loving, caring, and inspiring person. His academic journey included studying politics and philosophy at Harvard University, earning a master's degree later in political theory from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and the Emmanuel College in Cambridge, and later going back to Harvard to get a law degree. Dan was a prolific scholar and did start, co-founded the influential Prof's blog. His energy, drive, and sociability greatly enriched the FSU College of Law. Dan's life was filled with passion, music, dance, sports, travel, and people. But of all my son's accomplishments, however, I am most proud of the devoted father Danny was to his two sons, Benjamin and Lincoln. Dan was present, loving, and supportive, always putting his children's well-being first. He regularly attended the boys' daycares, reading with them. His office was filled with their drawings, and his home, his living room, filled with their toys. Dan was the boys' hero, and they have been forced to grow up without a father. Dan's murder has shattered our family and caused deep permanent pain. This was a particularly senseless crime, and the murder was particularly insensible. It was not revenge. Dan was a law-abiding and respectful citizen, an active father, and a living son. His life was devoted to teaching and helping others. The pain and suffering of Dan's murder goes well beyond other families too. That is why I wrote the book, The Unveiling, a mother's reflection on murder, grief, and trial life. In my unrelenting grief, I turned to advocacy, to feel purpose, and to help others with these tragic losses. I have found meaning and comfort to connect with others who want to serve justice. To all the community of journalists, TV programs, podcasters, Tallahassee communities, and the allies who have put their hearts in keeping Danny's story alive, we are full of thanks. To law enforcement and prosecutors, our gratitude is beyond for their dedicated, careful perseverance in seeking justice for Danny and our family. If Tallahassee is known for football, Tallahassee should be known for the prosecution and for law enforcement. They have done an outstanding job. These extraordinary efforts underscore the brutal truth of our family's story. Danny's murder was orchestrated by his former mother-in-law, Donna Adelson, and other co-conspirators, and is a crime of cruelty. It is a murder of grief, a murder of selfishly prioritizing one's own desires over what is just or right. And at its core, this was a murder of convenience, so that one grandmother could live closer to her grandchildren. She killed their father and ripped the children from the other grandparents' lives. Donna Adelson's crimes against Dan began long before his murder. She belittled Dan in front of his children. She spread lies about him and contributed to a brutal separation between Dan and Wendy. She rented the house, and Dan came home, and he found that Wendy and the boys were gone, with most of their belongings. He called this devastation Pearl Harbor. Donna's eagerness for Wendy to divorce Dan and to relocate to South Florida led her to increasingly devise desperate schemes. Despite these efforts, the court ruled that Wendy could not move the boys away from their loving father. Failing to achieve her goal through legal means, Donna finally resorted to orchestrating Dan's murder. She plotted, planned, and paid for his murder. Donna's crimes led to further devastation. Her middle son, Charlie, was convicted and sentenced to a life in prison for his role in facilitating Danny's murder for hire. Can you imagine a mother involving a son to complete a murder? Donna's eldest son, Rob, an honest and decent man, is estranged from the family, and her younger child, Wendy, has decided once again to relocate to another state. Her actions and those of her co-conspirators have caused children to lose their parents. Catherine McManus, Freda Garcia, and Charlie Adelson, also convicted, are all convicted for life and have lost access to their children. Prior to her arrest, Donna's recorded phone calls with Charlie reveal their lack of a moral compass or capacity for self-reflection. She blames external forces for her family's curse. They're outside of her, but she is the curse, and lashes out angrily at witnesses who took the brave step to testify. Her modus operandi has always been to run from Tallahassee and then to try to flee to Vietnam. For our family, there is no such prospect for escape. Danny's absence, and that leaves a hole at the center of our lives, no matter where we go. Yet Dan's murder was not enough for Donna. His death was not enough. Danny had to be fully erased from his beloved sons. The boy's last name was ever changed, an extraordinary decision to excise the Markel name from Phil's only grandsons who shared his last name. And after the first arrests were made, Donna didn't allow the Markel family to have access for over 6 years. It was only when there was a phenomenal Tallahassee advocacy group that passed the Markel Act. The passage of this bill was immediately followed by our first invitation to see the boys after the rest. The door only cracked open. Despite these efforts, we remain excluded from the boys' lives. We were not at their bar mitzvahs or graduations. We have extremely highly choreographed visits and communications. We only wait for the day that Benjamin and Lincoln will visit their father and his grave in his father's history and his grave in Toronto. We want nothing more. The facts of Danny's murder, are difficult to swallow. The experiences Phil, Shelley, and I have been forced to suffer are profound as homicide survivors and victims of the criminal system. The lives of Danny's 2 sons, our grandchildren, were forever turned upside down by this crime. Benjamin and Lincoln were only preschoolers when their father was murdered, and now they are forced to confront and try to understand the unthinkable crimes of murder and the Adelsons' involvement. Our lives will never return to normal. For those who loved Danny and for those who Danny loved, there is no escape from the wicked effects of what Donna Adelson set in motion, carried out, and paid for, and for many years enjoyed the aftermath of. Donna Adelson has caused immense devastation and an untimely, undeserved murder through her actions. While no trial or verdict can ever heal the profound wounds caused by Dan's murder, justice must be served. I respectfully ask the court to impose the maximum sentence on Donna Adelson. Her lack of cooperation and remorse throughout the case demands justice, the justice that Dan's life and memory fully deserve. We are immensely grateful to the court for its careful and compassionate deliberation. Respectively, Ruth Markels.
Thank you, Ms. Markel. Are there any other victim impact?